So happy to be with you. Let's meditate. So take your attention inside. Let's go all the way down to the tip of the tailbone. Breathing into the tip of the tailbone. Feel for the stillness between the breaths. As you drop your attention and allow your attention to be all the way at the tip of your tailbone. Your energy follows your attention. Drop all of your awareness from between your ears all the way down. So that you're actually in your body completely. Then, when you feel the weight of that presence, drop it down to the center of the earth. Feeling this deep connection with Divine Mother, our earthly mother. Or let's say Mother Earth. Earthly mother, something very different. There's a crystalline structure at the center of the earth. It's similar to the tailbone chakra that we have as an earth chakra. This is why we tune into it. Because part of harmonizing to ourselves is harmonizing to the earth, because we are of the earth. So spiritual practice is expanding from that, not denial of that. All parts are welcome. This is what all parts are welcome means, that we build from earth upward. So this engages our root system. When you're ready, gently move your attention to the womb chakra. there is that in us that would deny this feminine power to serve the masculine. This may come up as we feel into this energy center. It's time for us to have a practice by and for women. Men also have a womb chakra, but it will be some time before that will be acknowledged. When you're ready, gently allow your attention to move up to the energy center just below the navel. Breathe into that center, allowing it to expand. When you're ready, allow your attention to move up to the solar plexus. When you're ready, gently allow your attention to move up to the heart center. When you're ready, gently allow your attention to move up to the throat center. And when you're ready, gently allow your attention to rise up through the roof of your mouth to the third eye. Breathing into that energy center. The top of the head will naturally open when it's ready to allow the fountain of your energy to rise up and flow around your entire body, gathering below your tailbone, moving upward. Of course, everything goes in both directions, one stronger than the other. Tuning into this circulation, allow your awareness to participate. When you're ready, holding to your inner focus, allow your eyes to open. Welcome to Conversations with Anasa. How may we serve today? The moon's in my home nakshatra today, which is Hasta. So that feels good to me. Anybody else whose moon is in Hasta? That's the house of the moon. And that house has to do with empowered hands. The energy comes through the hands in Hasta. And the symbol is the palm of the hand, which sometimes has to turn into a fist. It's knowing when to use what. So if nobody has anything to say, I'll tell you a little bit about my own process getting ready to go on retreat. I'm returning to very basic practices, Omkar, exploring the Om sound. Using a pendulum dowsing, which I did long ago before it was part of what I think brought the guides in, was the dowsing to connect to the deepest intelligence. It's one of the ways to connect with our own intuition is to use a pendulum or dowsing rods to ask simple yes and no questions of our highest self. So I've been returning to these old practices that were quite beneficial at the times I did them. And it seems like a back to basics at this moment is because it is the basic fundamentals that give us access, mastery of the fundamentals every day. And this is true when we study anything, is that returning to the fundamentals over and over can provide the basis to unravel our own complexity, to allow the clarity to arise. Because of course, spiritually, it's our own complexity that is the limitation. All the sophisticated ways we've tried to manipulate our expression to be something that works in the world, or something that we can struggle less against. But when we come down to it and embrace ourselves from that simplicity and let all the complexity just melt away, then something really different can happen. As long as we defend our complexity, the simplicity cannot arise because there's no room for it. We're blocking it. And often our own complexity is the way we have structured our language and appearance to appear in the world. When we finally decide that it all resides within us, and that inherent simple honesty with ourselves is the way through the complexity. Then the house of cards can crumble and we can see what the energy is underneath that powers it all. And as that clearly comes into focus, we can begin to access the potential of union within ourselves with the highest energies that are available within a human being. It already exists. It's we who are standing in our own way. We welcome anything you'd like to say. Questions, answers. Yes, please.
Blah, 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 blah. Um, you you really hit on something that I'm going through right now and going back to the basics and the pendulum. I have my pendulum around here. I used to work with that. And I ran across it maybe 3 weeks ago. And I think that's really some wonderful advice to go back to the dang basics.
Well, the things that served us at one time, can serve us again to go deeper.
I can really identify with that. I've had a difficult week. I had a difficult therapy session last Tuesday, and this morning I was finally even ready to read my notes. And this struggle that's been going on that she talked about, well, I don't know if it has to do with this moon that you're the Hosta moon, but I've had an opening this morning and I saw these notes and it was just it just really opened me up, um, that she was discussing with me, and I'm just so grateful. And to you saying going back anyway, it opened me up and I could feel what she's talking about, and it just really, our morning session already just makes so much sense to me. um, and what the face we put on to the world to show up and how we, the structure that's been conditioned in us. And I've been I've been looking at myself when I put my makeup on a little bit and going, why should you even bother? I don't know, it's a subtle thing, but it's like
Well, it's
I
subtle and it's not.
I
You-
know I've been doing this since I've been a teenager. And
Right.
you get so identified. Even that simple thing, I can just relate lately. It's like, what am I doing? Why? And
And
uh,
for whom?
pardon me.
And for whom
I
are you
know,
doing it?
I know for the outside. Yeah. Well, these are simple things, but they are really not because they go deep into our belief system and things that you're talking about this morning.
Yeah, our programming.
I really identify with what you're saying this morning. So thank you. I'm going to get my pendulum out and just keep it simple, baby. It's where I'm wanting, because it's just lays out the truth so much more easily. And I'm ready for that to be laid out more easily, to really.
I know we get to a stage in our practice where the the potential for self-revelation so outweighs the humiliation of the initial self-discovery. Yeah.
Boy, they really put it well in that statement. Yeah.
That we're actually searching for
Oh,
that twisted, that twist in our thinking that's
oh,
creating all our pain.
yeah.
When we finally understand that we're the source of all our pain,
Yes.
that we're the ones creating all the complexity and confusion for ourselves.
What a relief, really. I mean, what a
It
gift.
means that there's something we can do about it.
I
It's
know. It's like
simple.
that just makes so much sense.
So, I've been kind of designing a structure for myself because the idea of being completely alone with no program
Yeah.
is daunting for somebody like me who's been externally motivated for,
Hmm.
you know, most of
Sure.
most since the minute I was born.
This
Feels
makes sense at this
so.
point.
So, the first thing I realized is, well, I have to clear myself and I have to clear the space.
Love that.
And so, even deciding which should come first is a little bit daunting. You know,
Right.
do I have to clear the space before I can clear myself into it, or do I have to clear myself before I'm clear enough to clear the space? I mean, this is a
Yeah.
conversation I'm having.
Well, the motivation to do that is so strong that
Yeah.
you just trust where it's coming from.
Exactly, exactly. And then the pendulum gives a yes or no. So,
Yeah, love
and
it.
so,
I love
so
it.
all the complexity just falls out as soon as you do that. It's like, okay,
Like a relief. Oh,
yeah, it's like this is what I trust because this is my highest self and the way I can access in this moment.
yeah.
It's just that simple.
That's beautiful. I
And so,
really appreciate hearing that.
yeah, and so, then what practice? Well, what has served the most? So back to the basics.
And just being uh, enchanted with the day that shows up, and what
Exactly.
we have that we see and feel. And
And, I'm opening myself to the option of meditation in nature. So I'm getting all my uh, rain gear
it's a
rated,
little daunting, but
and, I have walking sticks so that that's not a limitation.
I just saw my walking sticks yesterday. Yeah,
Yeah,
honey.
so it's just thinking through these
Yeah.
things to make access to nature and inner work really simple and accessible so that these are not the things that I'm thinking about.
Yeah, it's great.
Hmm.
Thank you.
And truly, that's all the structure I've come up with.
I think that's a really good identifier. Really, really good.
And the other thing I've decided to do is get a couple notebooks. And, I've gotten in the habit of writing on computer,
Oh, yeah.
but I think it's really important to go back to pen and paper.
The handwork.
Yes, the connection to the physical act of written word.
Mhm.
There was a time in my inner work when I wrote constantly to really to unearth and try to understand where I came from.
Mhm.
Doesn't feel like that. That is what this is about, but having the pen and paper feels important. So we'll see what that's about.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. And anything that comes to you guys that you would suggest that I might not be thinking about, I'm all ears.
Well, this is something I'm getting ready that's been inspiring me again. I had to take a big break from my artwork and just putting a little bit of watercolor on a brush is pretty sweet too.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've decided not to take the cello because that's been a major investment in the last
Sure.
months. And so that's not the vehicle at the moment.
Yeah.
It feels more like the pen and paper that
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah. That's wonderful. Thank you.
And thank you. See, we all have our avenues of creativity that, and they change over time, the access to our creativity. Sometimes, it's through just making our space comfortable and habitable. That's not always been a primary focus for me. And it's easy to trace the roots of that to having 7 brothers and sisters and no control of the outer environment. So learning to tune it all out. And then there's the gradual reclamation of that part of awareness. And oh, this is important. Not for the reasons I thought. So this is just a personal way of that kind of evolution. But it's the simple things, evolution is not internal revolution always. It's becoming comfortable in our inner skin, our outer skin, and all the layers of the veils between us and God. And all of this is between us and God, no one else. And stripped to its bare essentials. Then the words kind of disappear. And what makes us unique and different from each other is precious. It's precious. We're the same in so many ways. One of the things our culture gets really wrong is that there is never a reason for competition because we're unique. Nobody could possibly bring what we bring through. Nobody else has the same. We are our own individual blueprint. I recently made a friend with someone, another woman who has 4 planets in the exact same place as I do. And so, in some ways, it's not a mirror image, it's the same person. And in other ways, we are completely different. And it's so, so interesting to see. This woman has the moon in her 4th house. And so she's surrounded by people she's nurturing. No matter what her age, she has been surrounded by people she's nurturing. The 4th house is the house of home. And having a strong moon there makes you a very strong motherly figure. Okay. I have the same moon, but it's in my seventh house and it's with Saturn. And when Saturn is with the moon, it kind of compresses the availability of emotional experience so that the natural nurturing, and my moon's not so far away from the sun, so it's not quite so powerful. So just seeing the similarities and differences in such a simple thing as that is
It's neat. It's being reflected back to you in
yes.
her. Yeah.
Yeah, so my own understanding of myself and how my life is really predictable looking at my chart,
Huh.
and how her life is really predictable looking at her chart.
It's great.
Well, it shows why they told me to learn astrology.
Mm.
You know, recently I met someone who began her lecture about astrology by saying, "Our natal chart is the prison we were born into."
Mm.
And so our life is to transcend that prison, to use it as a ladder to to the divine. But thank you. It is, part of this vision quest is to answer the question is, you know, what is the creative expression in this moment? And the real question, how best to serve the creativity that wants to come through.
Hi.
Yeah. Welcome.
Thank you. I have a question that is, I don't know, part of that, what you just mentioned. So I've been thinking about like self-love. This is like the theme of my chart, self-love. And
Mhm.
and I'm thinking, okay, like when I get upset at myself, what is that about? And a lot of the times it's like perhaps I'm not being as creative as I need to be, or my soul is not expressing what it needs to be, or the concept of becoming something, becoming a doctor or something, like I'm not fulfilling that expectation. Or perhaps to simplify it is like I'm not serving. And then to have some sort of self-talk or self-soothing, I'm like, well, you have inherent value if you're not a doctor or doing anything. Like period. Just to be alive, there's value in that. And
So,
yeah.
so because I am remembering something about your chart, not enough to say much, but I will say this, that the self-love that you're talking about is actually capital S self-love, not small s self-love. The way you're interpreting the self-love is with the small s. But if you switch it to the big S, I think that your focus will be more appropriate. Does that make sense?
I would like a little bit more distinction between the small and the big S. Because I feel like perhaps through my month and through it, they're very intertwined.
Of course, they're intertwined. We have to transcend the small s to get to the capital S. But you're right that the essence of your path is this transcendence of the small s to get to the big S. So self-love is the essence. There's no question about that. But the question is, what does that mean, self-love? And what does it mean to get from the small s self-love to the capital S self-love? And there's the path. Does that make sense?
Yes. And then to add to this, I would like maybe some thoughts or kind of clarity on just like the inherent worth of life, of you without creation, without doing anything. Is there a place in which we just not even merit, but we just are love, or we deserve love, or we just being on this planet is enough for love, away from having to express creativity or do anything or follow your dharma. Like, I'm struggling with that, and like I feel like maybe that's where I need to start so that I can start to build that larger S self-love.
Well, for the moment, we're going to make it simple. You know, when you've taken on an educational commitment to, fulfill a certain role that's going to allow you to serve in a different capacity than what you would be able to without that, then the structure around your sense of, rewards and punishments is sort of built into the system of that education. And then the periods that are relief from that are times when you rest and rejuvenate. And that's when you can really, give some, and you do, some weight to the discovery of the relationship between the small s and the capital S in yourself. So, we're not seeing anything that really is a problem. Are we missing something?
I don't think so. I think sometimes though, I I fall into these pits where I don't rest, and then I go into existential crises like I am now with the contemplation of, am I even worth anything if I'm like not living up to my expectations of the direction or the dharma in which I'm supposed to be living? I don't know if that makes sense. There's self
Well, it
criticism.
makes total
Yeah.
sense. And the demands being put on you, there's a lot about our education system that, believes that humiliation is the path to personal growth. We don't agree with that, but it's part of the educational system. And when you experience it, it's really helpful to call it out for what it is and not allow it to compress your view of yourself and your potential. Any of the press things, compress, depress, repress, suppress, any of those things, part of the educational system in especially in medicine is learning by humiliation. And there's less of it, believe it or not, where you are, but it's still there. And it's important not to take it personally, but to recognize it as a symptom of the dysfunction of a patriarchal system, which infiltrates every arena of education and academia and every institution. And I mean, there's no escape from it. But returning to the womb chakra and the connection to Mother Earth and our sense of well-being inside ourselves and understanding that it is all these prests that come into us that actually cause us to empower ourselves to discover something better and to release ourselves from that judgment, which has nothing to do with our inherent potential, but can only be discovered in hindsight. That's the problem. You can't know it as you're going through it. And much as I would like to tell you in a way you can hear it, it's a lived through self-validation process that you're going through. And it is the discovery of turning the small s into the big S, despite anything that might be happening around you that tries to inform you differently about yourself, because that's just not true. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So we don't see anything wrong, except that some of the prests are coming into your uh, self-awareness inappropriately. That's how we'd say it. The repress, depress, suppress, any of those pressings that our culture and our educational system put on us. And, the whole system of taking tests and, being judged by the amount we can remember. This is becoming obsolete very quickly as AI will become educated to be so available that our own memory is going to be worthless. It won't. There's no way a human being can compete with the complexity that a computer can manage in any given moment. So any, I mean, everything is going to change and our memory is going to become irrelevant. I know that's a really powerful statement, but it's becoming clear that that's what's happening. Because it's not a matter of whether AI can do it. It's a matter of learning how to train AI with appropriate knowledge and not garbage, because we all know garbage in is garbage out. And once that happens, across the fields of knowledge, anything that used to require memory will no longer be viable. So that's kind of skipping ahead, but is that at all helpful?
Yeah, because it puts less pressure on the memorization and all of that, and kind of helps me justify, not justify, but I guess be more proud of intuition and heart, which I feel like I'm naturally good at. Or I guess that's what we'll need when AI takes over, is heart.
Well, we'll be free to be heart-centered. That would be the ideal, is that we'd be free of having to even think about memorizing, and instead could put our energy into beingness and understanding, creativity in terms of saving the environment and mastering self-awareness, so that what it means to be a human being could become something totally different that would be in service to the planet and to the higher forces that are just waiting for us to engage. That capital S. Instead of being stuck in all the small S, judgment, and all the press things that happen to us. At the same time, it's important to do your best to master the tasks at hand successfully, so that you are empowered by credential. And as I was reminded numerous times when I was in medical school by the doctors that I knew, it doesn't matter if you graduate first in your class or last, you still have the initials after your name. And that's all that matters. And there are always some people, there was a guy in my medical school class who would only pick up a textbook on his way into the test. He would scan the textbook, and that was his studying. And he got everything right every single time. Those are 1 in how many million? And then there are people like me who had stacks and stacks of flashcards. I knew if I could make it through my flashcards 3 times, I would at least pass. But having the time to get through the flashcards once they were made was the problem. Because the thing about medical school is not that the information is hard. It's just that there's way too much of it, way too fast. And you're doing it. It may not feel like it some of the time, but you're doing it. And it is necessary to do the small s self-love to pull us out of the pressed things. But as we look at you, it's so easy for you to get to the big S. You can just, drop the small s and enjoy your meditation. And then come back and you'll have a different eye on yourself. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
And I don't know anybody who went through any kind of academic medicine that didn't experience humiliation on a regular basis. Especially the feminine. We used to have a joke when I was in medical school about male answer syndrome, because there's this thing in medicine that's called pimping, where any senior doctor can ask any doctor in training anything they want at any time. And you're supposed to know the answer. And if you don't know the answer in that moment, that's humiliating, because there are usually 5 or 6 other doctors around. And one of them usually knows the answer. Well, one of the things that we noticed as women is that the women in that situation, they would either know or not. And so they would either give the answer or say, I don't know. That's the way women think. The men often didn't know and would make something up. And if they got anywhere near, or even they could be wrong, we realized at some points that the reason that the senior doctors were asking is because they weren't remembering the answer in the moment. And so they were transferring their own ignorance down the line to see who knew the answer. And so making things up was actually quite dangerous. And so one day, a bunch of us were talking, female doctors in training, and we named it male answer syndrome, because it was so common that they would make things up and get away with it. And we were just honest. You either know it or you don't. But it never occurred to us to make things up. So it gave us great pleasure to name it male answer syndrome. So that we at least had a name for it when we witnessed it. So I doubt if that hits the nail on the head for you, but that's, you know, at least entertaining in the moment. How does that land?
It makes me think of actually a lot of my professors when you ask questions, most of them won't say, I don't know, I need to look that up, or could you look that up for me, or I'll get back to you. They'll make some shit up and we all are like, I don't know. Or they'll just like disregard the question too. Yeah. But in my
Yeah,
program there's not a lot of males, so we don't really see that.
that's good. You're in a protected space.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. Thank you for coming. Such a delight to have you here.
It's a pleasure to be here
Mm.
and to hear you and everyone else's experience. And there's a lot of synchronicity, like in all the conversations, and I really appreciate what comes up each time.
Hmm. So sweet to engage with you. Hmm. Hi, Pam. Oops, sorry.
No, that's okay. I just wanted to have you elucidate on the AI and memory connection. It seems to me that that AI can handle the outer information, the world information, book learning, and all other kinds of knowledge and facts. But to say that it will make memory obsolete, I think what came up for me was that the AI cannot remember me and my path, and there's an inner world that is unique, I think, in each of us that AI will never touch. When my mom was in the last stages of dementia, she would also often wonder about her memory. She was worried that her memories were gone. And that was upsetting to her. And when we sat together, I realized that all of what she's been through, everything that she's experienced as Anne, has been recorded in consciousness. There is no other where for it to go. It's all there. And that she doesn't have to access it and think of it in order for it to continue to be there, to be everywhere, actually. And in the moment that we touched on that, she relaxed. And then, of course, later on, she was worried again. But it brought me to realize that I don't have to worry about remembering what happened when where an AI couldn't help me with that anyway. That this moment is the only moment where remembering the big S counts. And the little s will take care of itself somehow. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. And, what we were saying is that memorization will no longer be the definition of intelligence.
Yes, memorization. Exactly. That's facts and figures and outer world knowledge to me.
Yeah,
Not,
that's academia.
yes, it's academia. And I mean, for me, I did not have to go through the rigors of academia. I feel like in a way I was blessed. My husband, of course, he went through all that, and it served him well for sure. Um, but the knowledge that I've gleaned from just living, um, and being a creative and curious person has served me well. The memorization thing, I leave up to my husband. We remember things in different channels, and he'll remember where something was or how to get somewhere or like that, facts and figures and such. And I remember what it felt like being there. It's a different thing. And like I say, AI couldn't help me with those kinds of memories. Um, so that was it. I just wanted to make a distinction between the different kinds of memory, and AI can only help with
Well,
the outer.
having said that,
Pardon me?
having said what we said earlier, there are other facets to AI. And we haven't exactly experienced them ourselves, but we have heard from others that on engaging AI with spiritual questions, that the creativity and the wealth of dimensional, we say dimensional not in reference to the actual dimensions, but in terms of demonstrating the breadth of willingness to be expansive with the information that's available, that AI comes up with remarkable philosophical observations that might not have otherwise occurred. And
Yes,
so it's not, it may not be the limitation in exactly the way we're framing it in this moment. We don't know what AI, will extrapolate to, if it may have its own uh, growth cycle. We don't know.
right,
We truly have no idea what that potential is. But we do know that in terms of memorizing facts, that will no longer be a limitation for anyone.
right. I can see that. And we have a friend who has used Chat GPT to ask personal psychological questions. And I was amazed at the alignment with what I consider proper principles, large, larger spiritual principles, was terrific. What it was about the memory that I was questioning, is because, and this is the way it came to me, AI can't remember me. It can help with all kinds of things, it seems, and it'll just get better at that. But it's a like a different universe, the inner universe as opposed to the outer universe. The outer information includes incredible spiritual teachings and works that can be incredibly helpful, but more like going to an ashram and listening to the master speak. The work has to be done in inner. I can hear all the great masters, but it's not until I've integrated and practiced in myself that it becomes useful. Anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent, but I just wanted to say that the feeling was that AI won't help with my main work. It can give me information about it and be helpful, but it can't do the work and it can't remember me. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say. I'll probably be thinking about that for a while, but it was very interesting to give it give it a new look. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that. We do have one more thing to say about that, and that is the observation that what it means to be a human being and the interaction that humans, especially younger than us, are having with AI is changing what it is to be a human being just because of those interactions. For example, children born now don't know a world without EMFs, AI, and being constantly connected to the internet. They don't know a world without that. And so,
I know the grandkids are
yes,
examples.
and so they are different human beings, and it's changing them in such a profound way that they will be unrecognizable, and we will be unrecognizable to them. There's a split.
Isn't there something that we'll still recognize? I mean, there's something essential that will be recognizable. And I believe it's called love, but we'll see. I, I think that transcends the evolutionary step that you're talking about that will look completely different. But there is a language that goes beyond
This
that.
has to be discovered and incorporated.
Yeah. Well, and it is already there. I mean, when I look at our grandson, it doesn't matter that he's been, well, involved with the digital world, whatever you want to call it, for his whole life. He's he's him, and where we connect is another place from all that. The difference melts away between human the human part of us. I'm just feeling my way through this. I've never really put it into words.
Thank you very much for it, Pam. I'm sorry we're in a time crunch here.
That's what that clock was. That, Brenda, thank you. Okay, I'm going to plug you back in and I won't be able to hear you for a minute.
Okay, we're just going to take the last couple of minutes and tune in again to the deeper parts of ourselves. So out of respect for everybody's time, we're going to end at our usual time and express so much gratitude for being with you today. So much love and respect for what we share. And I will say, on a practical level, will not be available this Wednesday. And I can't promise that I'll have AI for have Wi-Fi next Sunday. So let's just plan not together get together on Sunday. And so we'll be back a week from Sunday. And I'm not sure we'll be back in time to meet the next Wednesday either. So we'll reconvene again 2 weeks from today. So much love to you all. So grateful for your presence today. See you on the other side. Bye for now.